I think that all of these are sort of magnetic. Yeah, that's magnetic. This is magnetic. All of these are magnetic. I want to see if I can find anything that's not magnetic. Okay. For instance, this is a metal as well. Is that right? But is that showing any interest at all?
No.
Okay. No interest whatsoever. Why? Because this is brass. It's a metal, but it's got copper and zinc in it. I think that's zinc. That brass is copper and zinc. Do you know that? Okay. And then what about this metal? This metal in here, this wire is made up. It's a copper wire. Look at this. There's no attraction whatsoever. It is only when I have a ferric or an iron-based metal, then there is an attraction. Careful you don't break it. Put it down. Right, now, let's just put these keys away. Now, we have a thing called a coil, okay? You can see a wire going in, and you can't see the wire going up because it's coming out of the bottom. You can see that this is very old, but it's useful still. I've got two terminals over here, so that this terminal is connected to a wire. It either goes to this side, or it goes about several hundred turns, and then it comes out and it's going to come to this other terminal over here. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect that to this analog meter over here. This analog meter is called a center zero galvanometer. Okay, you see it's a galvanometer. That's just a fancy way of saying that it's an ammeter, but it only measures a very small current. You can see over here it's 1 milliamp. Okay? Now, I'm not too sure. I think that is 1 milliamp for full scale deflection, but it might actually be 30 milliamps for full scale deflection. I'm going to guess at 30 milliamps for full scale deflection. Now, David, if you could take that away, because I don't want that to affect what you're doing here. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a lead, and I'm going to connect it to the right side. No, I don't need that. Don't need that yet. And then I'm going to take this wire here, and I'm going to connect it there. Now, right, David, you can hold this down over here so it doesn't move. Okay, hold this down. Okay, now, I can move this around. Okay, you can move it all around, but does it have an effect on that meter? On the indicating needle, as it is. No effect whatsoever. But, okay, now you can pass me a magnet. However, if I take a magnet and I drop, oh yeah, it's working. Amazing. Okay, fine. Now, what I want you to notice is that when I move the magnet up, I get a positive deflection. When it goes down, there's a negative deflection. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Can you see that? So there's directionality. But have a look at this now. If I move it up slowly, can you see it gives a very small deflection? If I go down slowly, it also gives us a little deflection. But if I go fast, okay. So Mr. Faraday, Michael Faraday, in 18-something, I don't know what it was, he discovered this law of electromagnetic induction. And he said that the magnitude or the size of an induced EMF is proportional to the rate of change of the flux. I've got a flux here. If the flux changes a little bit, come on. What's going on here? Let me just see over here. Why isn't this going? Okay. I don't know why it wasn't going. I think that was sort of held fuss over there. But let me just take that wire out of the way there. Okay. What is going on here? Okay. When something like this happens, then you have to fault find. You have to know how. Okay, fine. Now it's working now. Then. Okay. Now before it stops working, If I go slowly down, I'll get a positive deflection. If I go slowly up, it's a negative deflection. Okay? But if I go, and also if I go fast down, there's a big deflection. Fast up, there's a big deflection. So you can see that there is magnitude and direction. What do you know in science? Remember you did science. What has got magnitude and direction?
Vector.
Huh? A vector. So in actual fact, these things are vectors because they've got magnitude and direction. They are not like the lecturer that some students, they called that lecturer scalar. Do you know why they called him scalar? Because he had magnitude but no direction. Okay, fine. Now, let's see what else we've got over here. Now, this phenomenon here is called generator action because a change in flux produces an EMF. That is how generators in ESCA work, except that they don't use permanent magnets over here. They use electromagnets in direct current generators. Okay. Right, so that is the one thing I wanted to show you. Now, I want to show you another thing called motor action. How am I going to show motor action here? I'm not going to use this anymore. Now I want to have that one over there. That's right. Put that down there. Now, I would like to have shown you this thing more, I'd like it to have been a little bit more dramatic, but I'm not going to be able to show it to you now. First of all, this over here is a direct current source. Okay? So it's like a battery, except that it's a fancy battery because it can control how much voltage I've got. That is connected to a coil over here, and here we have a magnet. Now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to put this coil in the magnetic field, but nothing is happening to it. I need you to see over here, we're going to put current over there, we're going to put force over there. What I'm doing over here is I'm switching the current and the voltage up to maximum. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on. Oh, no. What I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the readings of the meters. You'll see that the current goes up to about half scale deflection. In other words, to about 1.5 volts or something. But look at the coil. Look at my hand in the coil. Can you see that? So, do you want to come and feel it? Come and feel it. Okay. Come and hold on to that. And hold it. Don't hold it up there. Hold it down there. Okay? Wow. And then just tell us what you feel. So you can feel it. It pulls you forward. Okay?
Wow.
Because I said that a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field experiences a force. Okay, fine. Come along, hold it. Hold it over here. Hold it nicely, yeah? Above there, not on the tree, but just to there. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Okay, yeah. I won't sing it yet. Okay, fine. Come on, next lady for a shave. There you are. Okay. Can you feel that, huh? Okay, next person. Anybody else want to try? You don't have to try, but if you want it, just give it a bash there, Mr. Skullman. Mr. Green Skullman. Can you feel that? Okay, fine now. But, come back. Where did it put you forward or backwards? Forward. Okay, now, just hold it over there. What happens if I swap these leads? It means that the current is going to go backwards, is that right? So now what's going to happen? Can you see that you've got directionality? Okay. So if I swap the leads, the current goes the opposite way around, we're going to have a different force. The force is either going to be pushing that way or that way. Like what? Remember that coil in the test that I gave you? I said, is the coil going in or out? I should have shown, that's so funny. Okay. I should have shown you that. I switched off those things immediately. People think I'm talking. Don't worry. Okay, fine, now.
Space.
So, okay, are you with me? So, I showed you generator action. This is called motor action. Okay? Whenever you have a force on a current carrying conductor inside a magnetic field, that is going to be motor action. We are converting electrical energy over here into mechanical energy over there. Alright. Now I want to show you something else. Have you ever heard of a thing called mutual inductance? Thanks for passing me that over there. Mutual inductance. Mutual inductance works like this. This thing over here is called a toroid. It's got two coils on it. One coil round with 100 turns, it's connected to them, and another coil which is a separate coil. They're not connected electrically. So those wires don't touch one another, so that they can't conduct electricity to one another. So they are separate coils over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put voltage on the one side. Watch out, for some reason you've got some sensitivity on my one finger. Right, so I've got a DC source connected to the 500 turns. Okay, on the problem. Now, where's these ones over here? Okay, fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the other coil of 100 turns to the milliammeter. Now, you're not going to get much of a deflection here, okay? What I should do is I should go and get my microammeter, because I've got one that reads microamps, okay? And that's going to give a nice big deflection because it's sensitive. But I think this should be able to work. What we're going to do here, can you see that, eh? When I switch on, there's a deflection, it goes straight back. Deflection goes straight back. But when I switch it off, can you see there's still a deflection? That's on, now I switch it off. Okay. If I switch it on, off, it's going to give a deflection. When I switch it on, it gives a deflection as well. Can you see that in the one case it deflects in one direction, in another case it deflects in the opposite direction? But have a look at this ammeter here. When I switch it on, the current is on and it stays on. Doesn't stop. This one flicks and then it goes off. When I switch off here, you can see that I get a flicker over there, but over here this goes off and stays off. Now, I want you to write this down. If you're recording this, record it. A transformer cannot work on DC. Okay? There might be some ways of getting it to work in other words, there are novel ways because researchers have done certain research on transformers, and there is some way that they may be able to get it to work on DC. Okay? But when we're talking normally, when I just switch this DC onto this coil, these coils over here, onto this coil, then you can see that I would have to switch this thing on and off all the time in order to get a little current out. Can you see that? So I wouldn't be able to get much out of this. What I have to do with this one is I have to have an AC source, an alternating current source, connected to one side, and it's going to induce an alternating flux in the coil, and that alternating flux is going to cut the secondary windings, and it's going to produce an EMF in a secondary, and you're going to get a turns ratio or a voltage ratio of 5 to 1, because the turns ratio is 5 to 1 or 500 to 100. Are you with me? Yes. Are there any questions? Okay, now, I just want to say over here that the direction of an induced EMF is always such that it tends to set up a current opposing the motion or change of flux. In this case, there's a change of flux. If I'm making the change of flux in one direction, this is really funny, isn't it? Okay. If I make my change of flux in that direction, that flicker to the right is indicating that the direction over there is trying to stop the flux. It's trying to stop the change from happening. Okay. So basically, that is it. All right. Is it helpful to have these machines here? That's quite nice. Okay. Yeah.
That's getting.
I should take this off. Just right there.
After I go forward.